Welcome to Coffee and Conversation for ESL Listening. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Christina. So grab a cup and join the conversation.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? It's been a while.
It has, and I am better now, that's for sure. We were supposed to record some time ago, but I went on a cruise, and as per the usual for me, I took a vacation and I got sick.
It just seemed to be like you're right, it's a usual. Every time you go on vacation, you come back and you get sick. And I don't
I
know if
do.
it's related to vacation or is it just, I don't know, your body is adjusting back.
I don't know. My body hates me. I have no idea. It's something stupid that happens.
Nah.
But anyway,
You're feeling better, right?
I'm better and you're good. So we're here and everything's, we're getting ready for Christmas soon.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, I mean, the year has just flown by and here
I
we are.
know. I can't believe that we're like a couple weeks away from 2024.
I know. It's amazing how quickly this has gone.
Yeah, pretty fast.
But yeah, so this will probably be, well, let's see. I don't know when this is going to get released, hopefully soon. I hope it's before the end of the year. Yes, these take a little while to get polished up and get online, but we will do our best. So anyway, if it's still 2023, yay. Okay. So today we have another topic, kind of similar. We did something like this before. We talked about phrasal verbs. And it was kind of an interesting topic, I think, because phrasal verbs, oh my gosh, they're so useful. I think they're really difficult. So sometimes being able to talk about them in a little more detailed way, I think is really helpful.
I agree. I mean, and there's just so many of them out there. And if you don't know what the combination of the verb is, that sometimes it can lead you into some awkward situations or conversations. So.
Yeah, that's true. And even, well, I'll get into that in a minute, but I was doing some research because we picked out, by the way, we picked out the verb come. So we're going to be talking about phrasal verbs with the verb come. And I was doing a little bit of research, and as usual, I kind of found my way down a rabbit hole.
Oh, yes.
Because I thought, like maybe 10 or something with come, right? I'm like, oh, this won't take long. Well, no.
Oh.
And if you all don't know, when you go down a rabbit hole, it's like you start doing some minor small thing and it leads you to another place. And the next thing you know, hours have gone by and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
I gotta go back to start. I was just gonna say, I was like, I want to explain to our listeners what rabbit hole is because, just so they don't think that you literally went out in the field somewhere and found a rabbit hole and got into it. Crazy.
Don't put much past me. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. You have done some crazy things about animals that usually people don't do.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, this rabbit hole is just, you find yourself trying to look for one small thing, and next thing you know, you've gone from link to link to link to link, or whatever it is that you're doing, and you find you've just spent much too long on the topic.
Yep.
And that's what I did. I was going down this rabbit hole looking for these verbs with come, and I was noticing that there were some pages that I found that were clearly from Britain, like British phrasal verbs. And the thing is, much of our vocabulary obviously is very similar from the US to
Britain,
UK or other places like that. But there are definitely some differences. And phrasal verbs are one of those that can be a little bit different. And I saw a couple that were a little bit a little bit suggestive. And they were like normal sounding to me. I was like, oh my goodness, they say that for that over there. So even when you speak the language, you can get yourself in trouble.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear what you found there.
Yes. So I just came up with, oh, here we go. I started off with that. Well, let's start there, right?
Here we go.
Okay. Yeah. I came up with a list of 20, but we're not going to talk all about those. No. I'm just going to kind of pick and choose. Come
All
up
right.
with, I know that we have talked about this in previous episodes and it's been on some of the show notes. By the way, don't forget to get the show notes because you'll get lots more info. But yeah, come up with means to think of or to create, usually get an idea for something.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
we use it a lot.
Yes, I feel like it's one of the most common ones to use.
It really
Oh,
is.
right.
Right now, I said it without even thinking, right? I came up with a list. Yeah. It means I sat down, I thought about it, I generated a list.
Yep.
So basically that.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's a really common one. Come up with something. I think, in fact, we might have used it earlier today when we were texting each other.
Yes, that's right. You did. That's so funny. It's hard to, avoid some of them, like they're just so part of your everyday conversation that you kind of forget that it's not something that someone who's learning language might not know.
And come up with, I feel like it's more of a informal language too. Usually you won't see that in some sort of a formal, I don't know, formal letters or formal use of language. Usually come up with, it's more of a informal, kind of casual.
Yeah, in speaking for sure. Always in speaking. Yes. Definitely. We use it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like what kinds of things we come up with? We come up with ideas, come up with a name for your pet. I need to come up with a good name. I need to come up with a theme for the party, that kind of thing.
A recipe, maybe a new dish or something like that.
Come up with a new recipe, come up with a menu for the dinner. Sure.
Yeah.
So you're going to be doing some cooking soon, aren't you?
I am, since Christmas is coming. For me, it involves a lot of cooking.
Yeah. So have you come up with your menu?
Well, I am a planner.
You are. Mm-hmm.
So my husband and I actually, because we came up with a menu for the next week because my mother-in-law is coming and staying with us for a week. So nice. I told him, I said, I have such a busy week at work and all that. I need to have a plan for the week, what I'm cooking. So we came up with a menu for a whole week, including Christmas dinner. Yeah.
Good for you. I mean, I barely know from day to day what I'm going to eat for dinner.
Well, usually that's the case, even though I am a planner. But when it comes to dinner, I feel like, half of the conversations with people when you're adult is, what are we having for dinner?
Yeah. I say to my husband all the time, I'm like, I am so tired of having to come up with something for dinner. I'm tired of thinking about it. I'm tired of, I got to cook something. I don't even want to eat.
Well, but the time you figure it out, you're like, oh gosh. But the thing is that I know some people who could eat the same thing few days in a row. Right?
Yeah.
I am not one of those people.
No?
No. I mean, I can have something maybe 2 days in a row, but then I get tired of it and I need to come up with something else.
Yeah. I think it depends what it is for me. And sometimes it's just like if I overcook, we're getting off topic here, but who cares? Sorry. We may only get through like 5 of these. I don't know, but sometimes I overcook and I've got a whole bunch of leftovers and, I'm not about to throw them away.
Oh,
so no. Sometimes, day 3 and I'm like, ugh, okay, one more push through these leftovers.
Or, you would think that, like I have a small family, you have a small family, right? So you would think by now I would learn how to cook for just 3 people.
Right?
Nope.
I don't know. I can't do it either.
No.
I can't.
I feel like this for Thanksgiving, I made enough mashed potatoes to feed the whole neighborhood. I was eating mashed potatoes for a week. I was like,
yeah,
I love mashed potatoes, but by the end of that week, I was like, I think I need a break from mashed potatoes for a while now.
probably so. Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's one great thing about leftovers is that, okay, I will probably take as much time to cook for 3 days worth of food as just for one meal. And as much as I don't want to have to think about it every day, it's great to have your meal
Yeah.
plan the next day.
Yeah.
But then you get
Leftovers
tired.
are wonderful. And sometimes they taste even better than the
That's true.
fresh cooked
Yeah,
one.
it depends on what it is.
I'll take that.
Well,
All
we've
right,
gone off
let's
topic
rein
here.
back in.
Reel it back in. Okay, so we got come up with. We can scratch that off the list. Okay.
All right.
Another one that we've talked about, I know before, so I'm going to get that out of the way, is come across. This is a really good one. And we use that when we talk about finding something, discovering something without looking for it. You just found it by chance.
Yep.
So you'll say things like, oh, I came across a really good article. You should read it or something like that.
That's true. That's true. That usually happens to me like when I'm at the bookstore. I was like, oh, I came across this book.
Yeah.
Never heard of it, but I looked at it and yeah, this sounds interesting. Or yeah. I mean, for me, it's a lot of times it's shopping for stuff. So I'll be like, oh, I came across this beautiful chair. I mean, I could not buy.
It just jumped into my shopping cart.
Oh, absolutely.
That sounds like something your kid would say.
Oh, yeah.
Got there. It just jumped in.
Walked in. Oh, my son came the other day came to me. He was like, I was looking for he went into a rabbit hole just like you. He was looking for this toy, and then he realized that he came across this other toy that reminded him that he had this other toy that he needed to go look for. And then he saw something else or came across something else. So he went into the rabbit hole completely with all the toy stuff. It's just,
oh my goodness.
It's exhausting. I bet.
It happens to the best of us, right? Yes.
Yep. So it's kind of unintentionally finding something.
Exactly. Unintentionally. And I have got a really good example of this. So I have a student in particular. Hey, Elizabeth, if you're out there, she and I have this weird kind of psychic connection. And it's really funny because sometimes, we'll meet and she'll ask me a question or bring up a topic that I happen to be talking about earlier in the day. And it could be some random thing like, why would you bring that up? Oh, bring up is another phrasal verb, means to mention. Why would you bring up this topic just out of the blue, unexpected, all these expressions here. And it just so happened, that I was talking about it. So we do that. And the other thing that happens is a lot of times we'll meet and she'll ask me a question about a particular word, not a very common word necessarily. And so we'll go into this lengthy discussion about what the word means and whatever, what have you. And then we get off our call. We do Skype. We get off our call. I'll pick up, my phone and go scrolling, as you do, right? And immediately I'll see that word in a post.
Oh, wow.
It's really weird. And so many times I have taken a screenshot of that and sent it to her. I'm like, look at this. So yeah, that's a perfect example that I just came across the same word that we were just talking about.
I was just going to say, as many expressions as we're using in this episode, there will be a lot of show notes, seems like.
Oh my goodness. I know. I better stop. I can get out of control sometimes. I can get carried away.
Oh, here you go. Here's another one.
I know.
You're just doing this to yourself. You just can't help yourself, can you?
I am. I know. I'll stop.
Okay. All right. What else you got there?
We covered that one. Let's see. Oh, so we started talking about my getting the flu,
yes.
right? Mm-hmm. So come down with is a really good one. Yeah.
That is a good one.
And so appropriate. How many times I can say that? I came down with the flu. I came down with a cold. It's, you could certainly say I got a cold or I had a cold, but for some reason, very often we say I came down with a cold.
With. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. You know what? And the thing is, it is so easy to confuse. Like, you have to make sure you use it come down with
Yes.
something. Because if you just say come down
Yeah.
somewhere, then it's a whole different
Exactly.
meaning there, right? But came down with, it took me a while to understand that one when I was learning English. Tell
I
the
can
truth.
imagine, and I think in particular those phrasal verbs that
Verbs.
contain with are really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Come up with, put up with.
Yeah.
They sound really weird, because in the structure of the sentence, it's like if you look at it, it looks really weird.
Yeah. Kind of doesn't make sense. It's like when you look at just words. But
Yeah.
to kind of stem from the come down with, when you're talking about coming down, right? Or come down somewhere. I have a funny story. It took me, so when I was talking to my family here, like my husband's family or friends, and they was like, oh, we'll just come down next weekend, or why don't you come up and see us? And it took me the longest time to figure out why some people say come down and some people say come up, or it depends on, like, somebody will say come up. And I was like, why? Like, I'm not going up the mountain. I'm not, like, why? And then, oh my gosh, it was the weirdest thing. I was like, well, then I'll say, oh, okay, we will come down to Chicago. And people will look at me like,
No.
well, no, you would go up to Chicago. And I'm like, what the heck? So then I realized it's a map thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
location, right? North, south. So if you're going north, you go up somewhere. If you're coming south, you're going down, or coming
Yeah.
down to somebody. So I was like, oh gosh, seriously, it took me a few years to figure this out.
Oh, that's so funny. I never
Yeah.
really thought about that, but yeah, I guess it does sound a little bit weird. I'll be coming up the mountain.
I know. It's like, why don't you come up to us? And I'm like, well,
Mhm.
you live like a couple hours away. You're not like up the mountain somewhere, right?
Or upstairs.
Or upstairs. And I was like, why do I need to come up to you?
That's
But
really
because you
funny.
live a little bit north of here, that means I have to come up. But they
Yeah.
were like, we'll come down to you. I'm like, well, we're not down. Like, I don't live by the sea somewhere and you're on a cliff.
That's
But then I
really
was like,
funny.
oh, I guess we're just a little bit south from you. So,
That's funny. The things that you don't even think about when it's so natural to you. So that I'm glad
yeah.
you brought that. I'm glad you brought that up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Here
here
we
you go. Here's
go.
another one.
We got a phrasal verb palooza going on today.
Oh, the Palooza one. You make sure you include that in
Yeah.
show notes.
Yeah. I don't know, but I feel like I feel like that is in one of the previous show notes before, or I don't know. I've done it for something. Who
Could
knows
be.
what? My brain can't handle all of this. But going back to the coming down with,
Right.
staying on that same kind of topic, I don't know that I say come down with a cold all the time. I think I just say I got a cold.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing we definitely do say all the time is, that time when you feel it's just starting. You're like, it's not really here yet. But I know it's coming, right?
Yeah.
And so we'll say, we'll definitely say things like, I'm coming down with a cold,
With something.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel a cold coming on. Sometimes we say that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you
definitely, like, in the process, we do use that phrase.
do that. Yeah. Because I noticed that people don't usually, some people do, but don't usually say that I am getting sick. They say I'm coming down with something,
Yep,
or like coming
exactly.
down with a cold, or yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, and in fact, they do say quite often, I'm coming down with something, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you don't even know what it is. You're like, I'm getting something. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, could be cold, could be flu, could be some virus, could be who knows what.
nowadays it feels like there are just a million viruses just swirling around. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
know. And
So moving along. um, okay. Here's another interesting one. To come around. Now,
oh, that's a good one.
it actually has many different meanings, and I'm not going to talk about every single one of them because, it'll definitely be a rabbit hole we'll never get out of. Um, but the one that I really liked was to change your opinion or viewpoint on something.
Mm-hmm.
And that especially, we use that when someone's upset or they don't want to do something, but you're like, okay, just give him time. He'll come around.
Yeah.
Kind of like, he'll come around to my way of thinking. Just give it time.
This is a tough one because when you
Yeah.
think about coming around, you always think literally.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming around somewhere, something, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, you're right. It's changing your mind. It's agreeing with something, somebody, or maybe, So
Yeah.
that is a tricky one
It
to
really
be
is.
able to use.
It's one of those that you see the words and there's no connection to the actual meaning. You're like, you'd never be able to figure that out. So, yeah, let's give some examples here. So, I'm sure husbands comes to my mind, for things like that. It's like when you want to do something, or maybe he's mad about something, and
Yeah.
like maybe you want to go on a trip, and he's like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there, but you really want to go, and you're like, just give
Mhm.
him some time. He'll come around. It means
Yeah.
I'll get him warmed up, and he'll come over to my way of thinking, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Did you
Yeah.
ever have to have your husband come around on some decisions?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, oh, I got one. So when we had, the first cat, Lucy,
Yeah.
and I think we had her about 6 months, and I was like, oh, she's lonely. She needs a friend. Well, spoiler alert, I was wrong. She did not need, nor did she want a friend. Anyway, she's got one, like it or not. But anyway, my husband was like, nah, I don't know, but we don't need another cat. And I was like, he'll come around. And he sure did, because boy, he loves that cat.
I think in my case, it was the opposite, and it was with the dog, Junie B. When we got Junie B, I
Oh,
would be
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? What do you mean we're getting a dog? And he's like, I'm pretty sure you'll come around and decide that we do need a dog.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, now it's the opposite too, because Elijah and I think we want another pup, but my husband is still having a hard time figuring out if we should or not. But
Yeah,
we both think that he will come around soon.
I'm sure. Well, we really got a lot of mileage out of that one. Let that come around. Hopefully that's clear. Hopefully that made sense. Did you have another meaning in mind when I said come around? Because like I said,
Well,
there are
it's
different.
more of a literal meaning, right? When somebody said, well, there is a song, she will be coming around the mountain,
Oh, yeah.
right? So that's a literal meaning or come around the corner,
Yeah, right. Come around the corner. Sure. Mm-hmm.
right? So, or right around the corner when you say like, oh, that store is just right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's a literal meaning of
Right.
around the corner, but or coming around the corner.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's all I had in mind for now.
Okay. Yeah, there are a couple more, but it's too many.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Oh boy, it's amazing how we've gone through so much time and so few phrasal verbs because we've been very chatty today. But that's okay.
It's all
Um,
those expressions and phrasal verbs you're using here.
yeah, I know.
You know?
Crazy. Okay, so I've got another one. This is good. I like this one. Come down. And again, this could be a literal thing, like you come down the stairs, but we have, and this is really, really common. We say that all the time, especially when it comes to things like prices and temperatures.
Oh,
We
yeah.
often say down and up and
Mm-hmm.
say things like go up, come down, that kind of stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So come down is to fall or decrease. And it could be a temperature.
Yeah.
The temperature really came down fast.
Mm-hmm.
Or prices for sure. We can
Yeah,
say,
that's a good one. Yeah, sometimes, and I feel like recently it hasn't been happening much with
I was gonna
prices coming down. Prices are doing the opposite, which I don't want to use that now because they will have another expression to
That's
explain.
okay. I was going to contrast that anyway. Yeah, I was going to say more likely prices are going up.
Going up. Yeah.
Coming down, going up.
No. Which is interesting too. You don't say coming up, you say going up,
And
and
coming
you don't say
down.
going down, you say coming down.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
weird, right?
another
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
beautiful things about English.
I know. Oh, and talking about that can even be more confusing is quite often, especially if we're talking about the price of something, we don't even have to say the price of X is going up. We just say X is going up. For
Yeah.
example, gas is
Yes.
going up or gas is up. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gas is a big one. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Recently, it's been eggs, right?
Yeah.
Eggs are going up. Everybody going crazy about eggs. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a funny one. Yeah. That's like a good one.
But
The
not much
chickens on
is
strike.
coming down. Chickens on strike. But not much in terms of prices. Not much is coming down recently. So
No, it's
unfortunately,
sadly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But
Oh
there's
well.
that. So, yeah. Okay. I don't want to do that one. Oh,
Oh,
this one I do want to do, and I think that'll probably have to be it for today because it's,
coming
getting
up
to
on
be
time.
time.
Oh, we're coming up on time in here.
Oh, we're coming up on time. Yes, we sure are. Ooh, ooh.
It means we're getting closer to our time. It's coming up on time.
Exactly. Yeah,
Gosh. You see, it's just so hard to not use them because they're everywhere.
they really are. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so
Okay.
which one?
So there were two more I wanted to do. Darn it.
Well, let's do
Um,
two more, but we have to be quick.
okay. So come out. This is a really important one because we talk
Yeah.
about this all the time when we say something is released, like a movie. Oh, there's a
Yep.
new movie coming out. Can't wait to see
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Or maybe a TV series or a product.
Yes.
And sometimes we'll say, like, if we talk about the company and they're going to have a new product, we'll say something like the company, whatever, is coming out with something.
Mhm.
So, like,
Or
Apple is coming
yeah.
out with a new iPhone.
Yes. Yeah. I was just gonna make that example, but you already beat me to it.
Sorry.
Yeah, that is a very common phrasal verb there. With the
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah, like the movie is coming out, maybe like a new brand is coming out with a new product or it's
Yeah.
coming out. Yeah, you're right.
So you can kind of think of it as being a synonym for released, something
Mhm.
that's released, a product, a show, a movie, something like that. We use that all the
And it has to
time.
be something new, like
Right.
usually.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a
Definitely.
good one. That's a good one. Okay.
Oh darn. Was it one more that I wanted? Two more. Okay. We're doing good. Okay.
We can do it.
Come
We can
over.
do it.
Come over. This is a really, really
Oh,
good one. Because I live way, way far from you now, so this wouldn't work. But if I lived in the same town, I might say to you, "Hey, Christina, come over for coffee. You want
yes.
to come over this week for dinner?" And you notice I don't even have to say to my house. I just say come over. And
Yep.
it's understood within that phrasal verb you're talking about to someone's house.
Yep. Yep.
So, and it's weird because it feels like if I say I'm going to go to your house, I should say I'm going to go over to your
Over.
house. But
Mhm.
still, I would say I'm going to come over to your house tomorrow night. I'm going to
Yeah.
come over to your house. You're going to come over to my house.
Yeah.
We kind of do it both ways on that one.
Yeah. It's a good one too because it is quite popular.
Yeah.
Just come over. Um, What about, it kind of stems from this one when people say, oh, just come on over.
Oh yeah, when you put that on in there, yeah, come on over. That adds a little bit of like more friendliness, like yeah, more enthusiasm that they're coming over.
And sometimes it's not even necessarily going to somebody's house. Sometimes it could be, let's say you're at work and
Yeah,
somebody is knocking in your door and you're like, oh, come on over. Means come
exactly.
inside my office or the room or something like that.
Yeah. But that adding that on adds a little more like enthusiasm or like
Hmm.
more welcoming. And as
Yeah.
you were saying that, I was thinking, did you ever watch The Price is Right?
Yes.
And what do they say? Whoever, Christina, whatever, come on down. They
Yes.
don't just say come down to the, row. They
Even
say come on down.
come on down, even though they're on the stage. So they're up, but they will say, come on down.
Yeah, well, now the stage is different. So like the audience and the place where they stand to
Yeah.
bid on the products or whatever,
Uh-huh.
it's all one level. And even the
Oh,
stage where they play the games, yeah, it's really weird.
it's all
Like
the
it's
same
all
level.
on one level.
Have
Yeah.
you ever been to it?
No, but I want to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you sound so like familiar with it, like you've been there before. But I
No, I
mean, you
just
haven't.
watch.
So obviously, you paid more attention to it than I did when we were
Yeah,
still.
well, it's just because it's new this year, and I noticed, I was like, "Oh, that's really cool."
Mm.
Because you know what? They used to have to walk up these stairs to get
Yeah,
to the stage,
yeah.
and sometimes, if they were a little bit older or if they had some problem, they would get a little bit, shaky on their feet. So now it's really nice. They just walk
It's
without.
the same. Oh, okay, so that makes sense now that when they say "come on
Yeah.
down."
Come on down. Yeah, but they've always said
Mhm.
that. So yeah, it's just that on is like, more of a like friendly thing.
Well, that brings me to another thing. And
Oh
do we have
no,
a
rabbit
second?
hole.
I know. I'm sorry. Rabbit hole is definitely. But when people say "come on,"
Yes. Yeah.
that is a very popular thing to use, and sometimes it's not even like a phrasal verb, or it's just like an expression of, oh,
Yeah.
come on.
It's like disbelief or sometimes
Yeah.
annoyance. Like I'm sure
Yeah.
if your kid or your husband are doing something and like, come on, like get it together, stop.
Yeah, like when my kid leaves Legos all over the floor and I walk into the room and almost stab myself, my feet, and I'll
Mhm.
be like, come on, man.
Or it could be encouragement. Come on, let's go, let's do it. Yay.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. When you
Yeah.
try to get somebody moving, come on, come on.
Oh,
We can
you
go
see
in
what I
down this
mean?
rabbit hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
We could
You
be
see what I
here all
mean?
night.
Okay. One more really important one we got
All
to
right.
say
One last one.
is come up. And this is super important. We use this all the time. If you
Yes.
make a plan with someone and then something happens at work or you've got to do something and you're not able to make it to the plan that you had, you'll have to call or text and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, something came up."
Him up. Yep.
Something came up. Something happened that is preventing me to from doing what I had planned
Yep.
to do. Or we'll say
And
things like, if something comes up, let me know. Like if there's a
yeah,
problem and
something
you can't make
happens.
it. Mhm.
And you have to be careful not to confuse it with come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those
Completely
they're
different.
so close, and just that one, word makes it such a difference. But yeah, that's a good one too. And again, a lot of people use it. Something came up,
I
or
use it all
yeah,
the time. And I find myself like if I have to send a note or something to my students and maybe I think that they're at a level that they don't know that phrase, I sit there and I think to myself, how am I going to rephrase this? Because it's just so, and I feel like it's so long if I have to rephrase it. I have to say
right.
something like, I had a
Something happened.
problem and I have to take my husband to the doctor, or like you have to explain this long lengthy thing, whereas with this phrase come up, it just takes
Hmm.
care of everything. Something came up. And you don't have to explain. You don't have to go into details. Easy
It just,
peasy.
yeah. Because if you just say something happened, it doesn't
Yeah.
have the same effect as
Well,
saying something came up.
that's a
Because
good point.
right, because if you say, well, this thing happened or something happened, and the first thing people would want to do, well, what happened?
Yeah. They'll
But
think
if you
something
say,
serious.
right, but if you say something came up,
Yeah.
people don't usually tend to ask, well, what came up? It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, well,
That's a
so
really
it's
good
interesting.
point because that's the difference between a conflict,
Hmm.
with my plan versus like some kind of an emergency or a problem.
Right,
Really
right.
good point.
Hmm. All right, all right.
Well, 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 I think that's about all we can handle today. We may be back with more of these, who knows? But
You
if
might.
you like the phrasal verbs, I'd love to hear from y'all and, let us know if you're enjoying these because there's a whole lot more.
I know.
We could do this for days.
Yes, we can. They're fun though.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right. Well, until next time, here's to good coffee, good vibes, and great conversations.
Cheers.
Cheers.